what if doing nothing might actually be the most important thing you could do today? I'm sure that you know that feeling when you finally sit down after a long day and within seconds you are reaching for your phone. Or when you have a free Sunday afternoon and instead of relaxing, you start making lists of things you should be doing next week. We live in a world that has taught us to be terrified of empty time, where boredom is scarce. Every moment needs to be optimized, every hour scheduled, every breath accounted for in some productivity app. I spent a lot of my time thinking about why we do what we do, and more recently, why we can't seem to stop doing it. And the more I dig into both the science and the philosophy of rest and leisure, the more I realize we have forgotten something crucial about human nature. We have almost turned ourselves into machines that need to justify their existence through constant output. And honestly, it's exhausting. So let's talk about why doing nothing isn't laziness, isn't wasteful, and might actually save you. So let me start with something fascinating that neuroscience discovered about 20 years ago. Your brain has two major networks that are constantly trading places, like actors on a stage. The first one is called the task positive network, or TPN. This is your brain in doing mode. For example, when you are focused on a certain task, solving a problem, responding to emails, driving to work, the TPN is running the show. It's analytical, goal-oriented, and hyper-focused on the external world. But there is also another network, and this one doesn't get nearly enough credit. It's called the default mode network. So the DMN. This is what activates when you are not doing anything in particular. So when you are staring out the window on a train, taking a long shower, laying in bed before sleep, your DMN lights up. And here's the thing, this isn't your brain being lazy. This is your brain doing some of its most important work. The DMN is where you process your experiences, where you integrate memories, where you daydream and imagine. It's also the place where creativity happens, where meaning gets made, where you actually figure out who you are and what matters to you. Researchers like Marcus Raichley, who first identified this network, found that the DMN uses almost as much energy as the task-focused network. So your brain isn't resting when you're doing nothing. It's just working differently. And here's the problem we are facing today. Modern life has essentially locked us into TPN mode. Think about it. You wake up and check your phone. That's a task. You scroll through social media. That's dozens of micro tasks, little hits of stimulation. And when you work, that's obviously also a task mode. You listen to a podcast while cooking dinner. You are checking email while watching TV. You are reading an article while waiting for the bus. We have eliminated almost every opportunity for the DMN to do its job. That's also the reason why you are so creative when you are taking a shower, because your brain is in the resting mode. We have built a society that rewards constant doing and treats a wandering mind like it's broken, like it needs to be fixed with more focus, more discipline, more productivity hacks. But that wandering mind, that's literally the space where insights lives. That's where you suddenly understand why you have been feeling off lately, or where you get that creative breakthrough, or where you finally process something difficult that happened months ago. Your brain needs both networks. But right now, we are starving one of them. Now, this fear of doing nothing, this isn't universal. It's actually pretty culturally specific, and it's relatively recent. If we look back at history, at philosophy, at different cultures around the world, we find something surprising. Doing nothing, or leisure, wasn't seen as the opposite of meaningful life. It was seen as the whole point of life. The ancient Greeks had a word, scholē, which meant leisure. I'm not sure about the pronunciation. And yes, that's where we get the word school. For them, leisure wasn't about entertainment or distraction. It was about having the freedom to think, to contemplate, and to engage with art and philosophy and ideas. Aristotle believed that the highest form of human life, what he called eudaimonia, or flourishing, or a good life, came through contemplation, not through work. Not through constant activity, but very often through quiet reflection and philosophical thought. Of course, we can't all be philosophers, like me. Work, what they called Ponos was actually seen as something lesser. It was necessary, sure, but it wasn't where human excellence lived. The truly free person in the Greek imagination was someone who had time to do nothing productive, to just be, to think, to appreciate beauty, to have conversations that went nowhere in particular. For example, slaves, who weren't seen as human beings, never had free time. And this wasn't just a Greek thing. Look at Taoism, for example, and this concept of Wu Wei, which translates roughly to effortless action or non-doing. It's basically about moving through life without force, without constant striving, and letting things unfold naturally. Buddhism teaches similar practices. This idea of being present without agenda, without grasping for the next thing. But also today, in some European cultures, we have similar practices. In Italy, they have this beautiful phrase, dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. It's not laziness, it's a cultural value. This idea that there's a deep pleasure and meaning in unstructured time. Spain and some other Mediterranean countries has the siesta, of course, a structured period of rest built into the day. And these aren't signs of less productive cultures, by the way. These are ancient wisdoms about human sustainability and well-being, and we should learn from them. Because what these different traditions understood is that leisure, true leisure, has value in itself. Philosophers, by the way, call this autotelic, something that's an end in itself rather than a means to something else. Rest doesn't need to justify itself by making you more productive later. It's valuable simply because you are a human being. And human beings need time that isn't devoted to output. And certainly we have lost this. Somewhere along the way, especially in modern Western culture, we started believing that our worth is measured entirely by what we produce. And so rest became something we had to earn. Something we could only do if we had to work hard enough, something that needed to justify itself. But maybe doing nothing isn't a luxury you have to earn. Maybe it's one of the most human things you can do, actually, because you are not a machine. Here's where this gets really important and honestly a little uncomfortable. We have reached a point where even our rest has become instrumental. What I mean is, we only allow ourselves to rest if it serves some future goal. You take a vacation so you can come back refreshed and work harder. You meditate so you can be more focused. You take breaks so you can be more productive afterward. And look, I'm not saying rest can't have those benefits, because it does. But when that's the only reason you are allowing yourself to rest, something troubling is happening. Because that's the point when you are treating yourself like a machine that needs maintenance. You rest in the same way you would charge a battery or service a car. And if you are just a tool for producing work, then sure, that makes sense. But you are not. You're a human being and you are much more. And being human includes rest, includes leisure, includes moments of doing absolutely nothing for no reason at all. If you can only justify your downtime by its utility, by how it serves your productivity, then you have reduced your entire existence to your function. You basically have turned yourself into an instrument. And think about what that means for how you see yourself in the world. If rest is only valid when it makes you more efficient, then you are never actually resting. You're always working, even when you are not working, because you're preparing to work. Your whole life becomes about output. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a pretty hollow way to exist. The self is not just what you do, it's also the silence between the doing. It's the moments when you're not proving anything, not achieving anything in particular, not building toward anything. It's when you are just existing, just being aware, and just feeling the weight of yourself in the world, without any agenda attached to it. And sure, I also have a problem with resting because I'm a pretty productive person. But believe me, you do deserve to take a walk without your smartphone, or just lay on your couch and listen to some music without any task in your head. And yes, that's this simple. You don't have to meditate or do something weird. And this is hard for us now because we have internalize this productivity mindset so deeply. We feel guilty when we are not doing something. We feel anxious in moments of unstructured time. We immediately try to fill silence and boredom with stimulation because we have forgotten how to just be with ourselves and our thoughts. And maybe you actually fear this silence, these moments of total boredom when your mind is not contained with anything, when your thoughts are flowing freely, because it might show you something about yourself and you might not like it. But this discomfort is actually an important piece of information. It's telling you something about how you have been living, about how tightly wound you have become around this idea that you need to constantly justify your existence through activity. What if you didn't? What if you could just exist for a while without needing a reason for that? So where does this leave us? I'm not saying you should quit your job and stare at the ceiling all day. That's not the point. The point is balance. And more importantly, the point is remembering that you are not on this earth just to produce things. You are here to experience things, to feel things, to think and wonder and rest and be. The person that produces more goods, more money, more entertainment, more content is not a better person, because it's not possible to measure how good a person is, and especially not by the outputs. No, and there will be no points of productivity on your grave. People won't remember that. They will not remember the moments when you were staring at your phone at a dinner table because you had to respond to this important email at your work. But they might remember the jokes you tell at this dinner table. Your brain simply needs time when nothing in particular is happening. It needs the DMN to activate, to wonder, to process, and to integrate. Without that, you're running on fumes, constantly reacting but never really reflecting. You're busy but not present. You're productive but not alive. We need to remember what so many traditions knew. That leisure isn't the absence of meaning. It's often where meaning lives. The conversations that meander, the afternoons with no plan, the moments when you are bored enough that your mind starts making unexpected connections. This is where life gets textured and rich. So perhaps the next time you find yourself with nothing to do, resist the urge to immediately fill that space. Don't reach for your phone. No, dumb scrolling is not rest. Don't start a task. Just sit with the emptiness for a moment. Let yourself be bored. Feeling of discomfort or restlessness, that's not a problem to fix. That's your DMN trying to come back online after being suppressed for so long. Doing nothing is not about wasting time. It's about reclaiming it. It's about remembering that you are a person, not a productivity machine. It's about giving yourself permission to exist without any justification, without utility in mind, without purpose beyond simply being alive in this moment and being aware. And that's perhaps the most radical thing you can do in our productivity-obsessed world. And if this video resonated with you and you are interested in understanding more about how our best intentions can sometimes work against us, I made a video recently about the dark side of empathy. It explores how emotional intelligence, something we usually think of as purely good, can actually become overwhelming or even manipulative in certain contexts. And one more thing, I just want to leave you with a question. When was the last time you truly did nothing and didn't feel guilty about it? That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video until the end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a like and a comment and a subscription if you would like to see more videos like this somewhere in the future. Thank you once again, have a great day and a great week. Goodbye.